What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. Okay, continuing the series, we are moving on now to the Earth Splinter for Riftwatchers. These are available to play and see in the QA or the test server, and so I am just going through and doing my deep dive. So I've already done I've already done fire and water, so you can see those videos separately. And in this one, we are going to cover earth. So we already know what Fernheart does. And again, you're going to need 46 to max out for the summoner. And this is going to give you close range as well as +1 health. I think a lot of people are excited about Fernheart. But let's go ahead and start with the common cards. Now you got Bramblepixie, which you would think that pixies would be small, but here's a 7 mana card that's got a chunky 8 health to it, 3 damage, and a speed of 1 at the lowest levels. Now, this is a reach monster that you can throw into the mix, and it does a decent amount of damage, is a little slow at the lower levels, but does pick up speed when you get higher. Now, it maxed for silver. You still have that reach ability. Your damage is up to 4 now. Your health is up to 9. And more importantly, your speed is actually up to 3. So this monster does pick it up a little bit as you get higher up. Now, in gold is where you get the self-heal ability, which I think could be really important because now you have a monster that is doing 7 damage. A monster that's 7 mana but doing 4 damage and can heal itself and attacks from the reach position. So this might be a nice kind of option for or replacement for Reflection Shield if you don't have Reflection Shield, because keep in mind, 10 health is pretty decent, so can take a little bit of a hit as well as attack from the reach position. But maybe that's not the best place to be using it. That's just the first kind of thing that came into my mind. And then at the highest levels, you get an additional speed. So both additional damage. So you're at 5 and additional speed at 4. So not a terrible tank by any stretch of the imagination. Can pack a punch, can heal itself, and so I'm just trying to think of where this would be like the most ideal. And now I'm thinking about like poison rule sets, for example, because having a self-healing tank that can still be productive from the back line. Sorry, not self-healing tank, but self-healing card that can heal itself but attack from the back line. Now you can throw someone like, I don't know. I mean, you can cleanse someone up front, for example, and then have Bramblepixie kind of fight from behind. So again, I'm just kind of brainstorming some potential scenarios in which I would use this card, but I do like it. And again, common card for 7 mana, I don't think is a terrible price at all. Okay, next one, Lichen Beast. So you're going to start off with Phase. Now that's interesting, especially for a very slow monster. So essentially this is going to be a melee tank, and it's not, here's the thing, it's not low enough on the mana charts. It's at 5 mana, so it's not low enough to be Little League, which makes me, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the use case for it, because I guess if it's just a low mana game, then you can throw the tank in there. And so, 5 mana isn't terrible for 2 damage, 2 speed, and 7 health. Now, where it does get interesting is at the higher level. So let's go to maxed for silver. You do get an extra speed, extra damage, extra health. But in gold, now this is where I think things get really interesting. This is why I love playing in gold, because I feel like the game just opens up so much. Now, the moment you're in gold, and actually, let's just go to max for gold, because you're going to get additional speed of 4 and Enrage, the ability. So now, if it takes any damage, all of a sudden its speed shoots up from 4 to 6, and its damage increases from 3 to 5. But I'm going to focus on the speed here because its main ability is Phase. And that is where it could come in handy, because now all of a sudden, if you can dodge the magic attacks because you have significantly higher speed than your opponent, well, I think that could be pretty cool. And then at the max levels, you are going to get an additional health as well as additional damage. So all of a sudden, this thing is doing 6 damage with 6 speed when it is enraged for 5 mana. Okay, I changed my mind. At the lowest level, I don't know how much I would use this, but at the higher levels, yeah, this might be a fun one to play. Even in gold, I think it could be kind of fun. So Lichen Beast. Now we have Ulth Dampier, which is going to be the first and I guess only card. Well, actually, no, not because we'll get to Rune Master Flore in a second. But Ulth Dampier, which is a range card. So now you have some synergy with Fernheart. The other two cards don't necessarily, outside of getting the +1 health, but that's, that's beneficial for everybody. So with Ulth Dampier, you are going to get the stun ability at level 1. Now, this is a 9 mana card, so it is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. You get 8 health with it. It's kind of slow. You do get 3 damage, which isn't terrible. But where this gets cool for me is not actually in silver, although silver isn't bad. You get additional damage. But in gold, once again, where you get the triage ability. So now, if you're not familiar with triage, this monster can heal monsters that take damage in the back line. So again, it goes from being a decent attacker to being also a great support card in many ways. So again, 9 mana is a little expensive for this, but if you're going to have high mana battles, you might have extra mana to spare to throw it in. And keep in mind, you play this card with Fernheart, and all of a sudden you are able to do damage from the entire field, because when they get up to the front, they can almost act as a pseudo tank in many ways. And you're going to have that stun ability all throughout. Now, in gold, max for gold, you do get an additional speed here, so 4 damage and 3 speed isn't terrible. Again, I like the triage ability as well as the stun ability, but again, you got to make sure that you land your shots. And 3 speed is like average, maybe a little bit below average. Like you want to be fast to make sure you aren't missing, especially when other monsters get enraged or have like crazy speed buffs in many ways. And then at the max level, you are going to get 5 damage. So, 5 damage for 9 mana. It's good. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to use this card if I don't have Fernheart, but overall, I do like the triage ability, and I think that can come in really handy, especially for a meaty card like this that has a lot of health that it can heal. Okay, so now we will go to the Suide Shaman. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is going to be, excuse me, this is going to be a recharge monster, the first that we have seen so far out of fire, earth, and then water as well. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to have to get some water myself in a minute here. So let's see here. We got Suide Shaman, which is a magic monster. So from the get-go, I do like this card because of the fact that you get 6 damage on that recharge. Now, 8 mana is a little hefty for that, but yeah, 8 mana is a little hefty for that. So in bronze, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are situations you could play, but again, I don't know the meta in bronze, and I just want to be very upfront about that. So even in silver, I'm not sure, but in silver, you do get Giant Killer, which I think is where this card finds its value. Because even though it's only 2 damage, that's going to be 6 damage every other turn, multiplied by 2 against some of these bigger cards, and all of a sudden this thing is doing 12 damage every other turn. Again, if it's against giants. Now you get that additional damage in gold. So now all of a sudden this thing can be doing 18 damage to these gigantic monsters, to all the giants out there. So that's pretty cool. But where I think I really like this card, and again, I don't play at Diamond, but I am trying to look up there, just, start planning ahead for when I can play in Diamond. You get the Rust ability, which to me is a fantastic counter against someone like Queen Mycelia. Now, right now, at least in Chaos Legion, I think the only time that you get Rust is when you play Queen Mycelia. So a lot of times you will see 2 Queen Mycelias on the field that will be canceling each other out, essentially. So here's an option for you to play something different if your opponent doesn't have this, for example, or they play Queen Mycelia to give the armor. Well, now you don't have to play your own Queen Mycelia, or maybe you don't have one, and you can play a common card instead, Suide Shaman, at the highest levels, and do some decent damage while you're at it. So a pretty good card. Again, I think it's going to be very situation specific, but in these high mana battles, I think it can come in very handy, especially with all of the high mana cards coming in. Now, Fernheart, we've seen already, so let's go over to Rune Master Flore. And at level 1, you already are going to have a double attack here. Now, this is a magic as well as ranged attacker. So what's nice is that when you play Rune Master Flore in the backline or on a backline, it is going to do a double attack. It's going to throw 1 magic out there as well as 3 magic damage or 3 range damage. Now, Fernheart is going to allow this to continue that 2 attack at the front. But what I really like about Rune Master Flore is the fact that you can actually use both. Rare summoners, or actually they're not rare summoners, but both modern summoners that are available. And again, I know I'm saying modern, but I'm not including Mylar and Llama and Wizard of Eastwood, because most people just don't have those cards, right? So for a lot of the new players coming in, you can use this with either of the summoners and get a benefit, because now if you use it with Obsidian, for example, you get a +1 magic damage, and this thing is doing 5 damage from the back line. Again, when it gets up front, it won't be able to do this attack unless the rule set calls for it, right? But I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of like it. It's like if you get that specific rule set, you throw Obsidian in the mix, because Fernheart would be a waste, and you're doing 5 damage from anywhere on the board, which I think is really nice. Now, at Silver, you get an additional magic damage, and then in Gold, you get additional, oh man, this is crazy. So your damage is just going up. So by the time, in Gold, you're getting 4 range damage and 2 magic damage, and then when you get up to Rune Master, when you get up to what's that called? Diamond, you're doing 3 and 4, and if you pair this with Obsidian, now you're doing 8 damage. 8 damage. Now, keep in mind, this is a 13 mana card, and it's a heck of a meat shield as well, right? So there's 13 mana and 13 health on it. So I don't know where necessarily you'd put it. I mean, maybe it does go at the back of your line, so that it can take a lot of those sneak hits. It does not have any abilities, but I would say for the amount of damage that this card can do, it seems like an interesting play, especially because of the synergy that it has both with Fernheart as well as Obsidian. So that's it for the green cards. You know, I'm trying to think if there's one that I love here. And it's funny because I think I was like kind of hating on it originally, but Lichen Beast in Gold and Gold Plus, I should say, I think is going to be a lot of fun to play in these lower mana games where you might be going up against a lot of these slow magic monsters. Because keep in mind, Obsidian pairs well with, you know, your Dr. Blights and your Dr. Blights, your Jin Bilchkas, your Goblin Psychic, your Queen Mycelias. All of them are at a speed of 1. And if you get this dude at a speed of 6, there's a 50% chance of them missing. So that's kind of nice. And then Bramblepixie. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool meta plays here that I'm a big fan of. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below if there's any card here that you love or don't love, and what you plan on doing in terms of combos and stuff like that. But otherwise, I will catch you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game. Take care.